He represents who and whose views?
You want to have this shot degenerate into a shouting match?
No.
Mawado, you will not speak.
Because
I will speak over your voice.
When you handle the promise, you represent who?
You are Samuju.
You represent who? And can you account for your funding? How do we hold you accountable?
Are you Samuju?
How do we hold you accountable? And whose views do you represent?
You want this to degenerate into a quarrel?
These are concerning issues. Okay, account for your funding. Who funds you?
Why is that your issue? I find myself.
It is impossible.
To do public work. You who account for your funding.
To do public work. And who do you report to? When you disregard former channels, you just disregard former channels. You purport to be the. Andrew Mwenda is proving to be one of the greatest nuisance on TV talk shows. But Andrew Mwenda is a great debater. Even when he's discussing about something, he has a depth of knowledge. But one of Andrew Mwenda's weakness is he's short-tempered. He goes out of his way to echo people on TV stations. Yesterday, they had a war of words together with muwadda nkunyinji. If it had happened for the first time, maybe I would not talk about it. But Andrew Mwenda has shouted very many people down, from Semujunganda and others, okay, from Ofono Pond and others. Normally he has a short temper. Even when he was discussing on his talk show, if you could read the signs and facial expression, you could see that he was not in his right moods. And remember, he calls himself the old man of the clan. That is 120 years. But remember, being an old man, you must learn to be magnanimous. You must have empathy. You must have a hearing ear, not to shout out a person. So in this episode, I've come to talk about the shouting match which happened between Andrew Mwenda and muwadda nkunyinji, what it means for our politics, and most importantly, the study materials we can learn from the politics of our nation. But before I do this, I want to know if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. And if you're watching this video from a different platform, please head on to YouTube, type in Sula Mawagari. There's a lot of content of this nature. If geopolitics and economics is what you want, this will be definitely the right channel for you to subscribe to. So I take Andrew Mwenda as a mafia, as a government broker. In fact, for those who don't know Andrew Mwenda, he was once in the opposition. He's one of the first person who made a talk show and invited Obote to speak on the talk show. I remember I was still young, I was in primary, and Obote spoke, I think, on Radio 1. Okay, the regime was unsettled. In fact, there reached a time when the regime abducted him. So Andrew Mwenda has ever faced the wrath of the regime. I don't know what the magic people use, but I think it is inhuman. When a person opposes the government for a long period of time, they normally end up joining them, especially those who are weak, because they see that they are losing a lot by opposing. Andrew Mwenda has ever tested the wrath. Okay? Ever since then, he has been a political broker, a mafia in NRM government. We could see him on a battlefield with the Muhanga putting on paraphernalia, and no one cares. We could see him on jets with Moses Kagame going to Rwanda. We could see him with Kagame. We could see him with Museveni in State House. But yet he doesn't hold any position in government. In fact, during this talk show, muwadda nkunyinji came out to say that people who were in the meeting with the European Union with General Salim Saleh don't hold any position in the country. How come they come out to hold it to account the European Union? So what if somebody wants to hold him into account? Where does he go? He doesn't have any supervisor. So in a dictatorship, those things happen where power brokers take the face of negotiation of a country. Okay, this is not the first time. Before I proceed, I want to play a shouting match which was between Andrew Mwenda and muwadda nkunyinji. When muwadda nkunyinji tried to explain to Andrew Mwenda how he's a mafia, here's the tape.
And I want you to know that I do not believe that anybody should be have a monopoly on noise and interruption. You would start it in Mr. Mawado with me. this show will not happen.
You want interruptions? He represents who and whose views?
You want to have this show degenerate into a shouting match?
No.
Muwadda, you will not speak.
Because
I will speak over your voice.
When you handle diplomacy, you represent who?
You are Samuju.
You represent who? And can you account for your funding? How do we hold you accountable?
Are you Samuju?
How do we hold you accountable? And whose views do you represent in your diplomacy?
You want this to degenerate into a quarrel?
These are concerning issues.
That's what you're going to achieve.
Account for your funding. Who funds you?
Why is that your issue? I find myself.
It is impossible.
You
to do public work.
You who account for your funding.
To do public work. And who do you report to? When you disregard former channels, you disregard former channels. You purport to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You purport to be the ambassador. We can't know who funds you. Now you represent the money. This is concerning.
The EU themselves have said you steal money. You NUP, you have stolen money. How can you claim to be fighting?
From where and from who?
The EU gives you money and you have stolen that money.
That is your public rhetoric and negative rhetoric.
It is the EU. So you as a NUP, have you accounted the money government gives you? I have been involved, for example, in relations between Uganda and Rwanda. Because I have a good relationship with Kagame, I have a good relationship with President Museveni, and I can carry messages in between. So sometimes state institutions are paralyzed or not the best suited positions to work. But always these formal institutions, rather informal institutions, must reinforce formal institutions. So formal institutions don't work in a vacuum. When you come to power, you will find hold a second. I do not disturb your presentation. Even when you are choosing
just information. I think it is intentional for the likes of MWENDA and his accomplices to dismantle democratic institutions and constitutional establishments, including ministries. Now you are seeing him confessing live that he has been engaged in diplomacy. And for us who are keeping government in check, we have a mission.
How do you keep Andrew in check?
we have a mission, an embassy in Rwanda with a diplomat and staff. In fact, he's even a general.
Can I finish?
Now, it is facilitated and funded with a vote on taxpayers' money to execute diplomatic work and diplomacy. Now, when I hear that, it is now MWENDA doing their work, when we are also paying diplomats there, that's dismantling democratic and governance institutions. We cannot abet it. We cannot abet it.
Honorable, allow him his time.
Yes. So, first of all, you can clearly see he has not listened to me. I have explained to him, both theoretically and empirically, that formal institutions cannot work alone. They need informal ties. I can tell you. And I have given examples of so many governments in the developed world. So is this man, Vernon Jordan, who was Clinton's handler, who was not in the government, was he undermining America's democracy? This father-in-law of Trump's whatever, who is handling these peace negotiations, is he undermining American democracy? This guy, Alistair Campbell, who was helping out of government but working with Tony Blair to promote, no country can work without those informal connections. That's so important. And I have told you that informal networks can reinforce formal institutions. Left alone, formal institutions cannot succeed. And I have seen many international negotiations where somebody from outside the system helped. I'll give you another example. How they resolve. Hold a second, my brother. Please, hold a second.
The question is,
how do we hold
the blood between the formal and the informal?
How do we hold Andrew?
Let me give you
this information, Andrew.
Please,
how do we hold him accountable?
Yes.
We want to know what funds, what is his source of funding?
Okay.
How does he access that funding to do whatever he does? Two, how do we hold him accountable?
So when
and if it is for
information
values, he represents who and whose views?
You want to have this show degenerate into a shouting match?
No.
Muwadda, you will not speak.
Because
I will speak over your voice.
When you handle diplomacy, you represent who?
You are Samuju.
You represent who? And can you account for your funding? How do we hold you accountable?
Are you Samuju?
How do we hold you accountable? And whose views do you represent in your diplomacy?
You want this to degenerate into a quarrel?
These are concerning issues.
That's what you're going to achieve.
Account for your funding. Who funds you?
Why is that your issue? I find myself.
It is impossible.
You do public work. You who account for your funding.
To do public work. And who do you report to? When you disregard formal channels, you disregard formal channels. You purport to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You purport to be the ambassador. We can't know who funds you. Now you represent the money. This is concerning.
The EU themselves have said you steal money. You NUP, you have stolen money. How can you claim to be fighting?
From where and from who?
The EU gives you money and you have stolen that money.
That is your public rhetoric and negative rhetoric.
It is the EU. So you as a NUP, have you accounted the money the government gives you? You are here saying that you are an opposition person.
Why do you like NUP?
You denounce the government. Don't you earn a salary of 40 million? Don't you earn a salary of 40 million from government? The poor people who vote for you
want to know
and 1,000
who funds you to do public work, and who you account to.
I want to know why you sit in
you are
the
not an ambassador,
of a government,
you are not a minister, you are not an office of government.
40 million shillings a month.
Who funds you? Who do you report it to?
More than every ordinary Ugandan. Please tell me.
Guys.
You sit in the government, you say this government is
but that's constitutional.
You earn 40
those are
million.
elected,
Yes,
those are
it is
elected officials.
Exactly. It is.
It was a little bit long, but that is Andrew Mwenda for you, having a shouting match by muwadda nkunyinji. So, people like Andrew Mwenda who are in the comfort position, they are power blockers. Okay? They get free government facilities which they cannot account for. It is the truth. They know where the seat of power is. And what pains me is such people who have a voice, when they see our country degenerating, they come out sometime to support it. You know, Andrew Mwenda plays a trick of someone who sometimes comes out to criticize the government, but actually when is doing reverse psychology. Andrew Mwenda is the only person who can tell you Genome 7 is bad, has not performed his old, NRM cannot rejuvenate the country. On the other hand, he tells you that Genome 7 must stay. So he's there's a way he plays politics so that he can disorganize the minds of people who would want change. It was an unfortunate statement for Andrew Mwenda to have the whole of words with muwadda nkunyinji, because this has always been the modus operandi of him. He has ever done it to some Junganda.
I am talking about
your lack of intellectual quality is not my problem. What you need to do is go back to school or to your mother and be educated. Part of those who are coming here and whipping up sentiment and sounding stupid doesn't make anything.
And many more. Okay? So Andrew Mwenda should desist to being emotional, because that thing came as emotions. And if you want to be a successful person in very many things, one of the things you must contain are the emotions. Because even in our teachings as a Muslim, there are three things you must do when you are not emotional. Either when you are annoyed, passing a judgment, okay, is one of them, because you may end up passing a judgment which is not hinged on the reality. Of course, that's my opinion. Do make comments by commenting about this. Thank you very much for listening in. If this is the first time on this channel, I implore you to subscribe, like, and comment so that I can be motivated to do more of such videos. Let me also take this opportunity to ask you for your vote. I'm going to run as a member of parliament for Makinde East 2026. I'll be back to ask for your support, for your vote, because I believe I'm the best candidate for this position. This position needs a doer, needs a thinker, needs a person who knows what to do, needs a person who knows the history of Uganda, where it is and where it's supposed to go. And there is none other than Mr. Kabuye Sulaiman Mawagali, your next MP for Makinde East 2026. I'll see you.
Avampala no bulungi nange benjagala obulungi.